To August, and we are on our way. The Illini guys, Brad Sturdy, Mike Cagley, Larry Smith. Glad you're here with us. Man, lots to talk about. We've got the Illini gal, Ciara Parchment, coming up here in a moment, talking about her experiences overseas as she went over to Czechoslovakia. I think it was Czechoslovakia? Czechoslovakia? I got my, you know what, kicked in Czechoslovakia. Stripes fans. They didn't win a medal, unfortunately. But we'll talk to Ciara about her experience as well. She's now back on campus. Also, Matt Stevens talking to us as fellas football season is here. We've talked before about it's been just an unprecedented excitement going into this team. More so, I think probably the Ron Zook year, I guess, right? When they started 6-0 back in his final season, it turns out. But almost really for me, kind of like the John Makovic years. It is in terms of just a whole summer, spring and summer hype leading up. It just has a feeling of there's just a lot of excitement building up to this program. And we haven't seen that here in Champaign in quite a while.
Well, it's consistency. They're good and consistent. You know what I mean? Like that's been something that hasn't happened. You might have a year, but you haven't had a team that had a year and then really maybe you're looking at an era where like this could be 4 years where they're right there and have a chance to compete with high level teams in a row. That just doesn't happen at Illinois. You know what I mean? Like historically. So it brings excitement. You're right. I think it's the Makovic. Mike White, you got to go way back. And I know we were alive then, but guys, that is 35 years ago.
Yeah, I just remember those era and thinking that Illinois was going to be a top 20 basketball and football team perennially. What an idiot I was. And I'm so thankful that we've got this year here that Brett Bielema's got this team set up. And so it would be nice if you take a look at Wisconsin when he was there, that team pretty much played to where they were supposed to play. So if that happens this year, we're good.
Mike, that's when you figured out you're an idiot?
Well, it was a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
But then I forgot.
Yeah, I figured you must have because.
But you remember that, Brad?
It was another time.
You remember that, Brad? Though you walked in there in high school and you're seeing, David Williams kicking butt, and you're seeing Ephraim and Bruce and all these guys. And you're like, this is going to be great. It's great to be an Illini fan. And then you had these older Illini fans going, wait till the bottom falls out. And you're like, what are you talking about? But we found
out.
Happening.
The 80s belonged to the Illini.
That's
80s
right.
belonged to the Illini. Then the 90s came.
Exactly. And suddenly you went, wait a minute.
These old people were right.
Exactly. They're not even on TV.
We don't own the 90s.
Exactly. So 90s are kicking us. So it's exciting. And here's the cool thing. Great recruit this week. And again, he's a 2027. He's a rising junior. Camden Lopati out of Utah, 6'3" quarterback that had a lot of other Power 4 conference schools after him. He makes a visit to campus, even surprised his coach that he was ready to commit already. But it goes to show again in terms of where this program is that you're getting some in-state kids. The critics can complain about the in-state kids that he loses, Bielema loses elsewhere, but he goes out and gets somebody else. Here's a kid everybody wanted. And as we'll hear from Matt Stevens here in a little bit, you've got now several quarterbacks, that you've got, the kids out of St. Louis and a kid out of Florida, now a kid out of Utah coming in your upcoming recruiting classes. And this kid, what a way to kick off the 2027 recruiting class, getting this kid.
Yeah, Cowboy Camden. He's got some horses and stuff, and he likes doing that. Says that helped him with his competitiveness, doing that horse stuff and the cow stuff. So, but he's a stud. Like, I mean, this is a big time dude. Like, he can run. He played wide receiver as a freshman. Then he becomes the quarterback and he throws for 1,000,000 yards. He's 6'3". He's got a great arm. He's 220 pounds. He can move. I mean, this is the way quarterbacks are supposed to look now, right? They got size, they got speed, they can throw it, they can run it. Dual threat. He's just a perfect fit.
Yeah, from a potential standpoint, this quarterback room is probably the best it's been since the 80s, potential-wise. Now, obviously, potential is a French word that means you haven't done doo-doo yet. But, over the course of time, we have opportunity to see quite a progression of talent here that should be fun as an Illini fan.
We got a couple of guys coming up here with, I missed, Mr. Football Mississippi, Trey Petty, also in that room. He's, see him and Boyd going at it next year. And the kid Clayton from Florida as a true freshman, coming in here this, I'm sure in the wintertime as well, but all competing for that number one job for next year. So great competition to your point, where you'd like to hope that any three of those can beat out the others. Switching now, so we'll talk more football with Matt here in a few minutes. Switching to basketball, a big recruit as well out of the St. Louis area. Brad, we see Brad Underwood. We've talked about, again, with things changing, we don't have the COVID year anymore, fewer fifth-year seniors, so it's going to kind of change this landscape just a bit in terms of the transfer portal, because you don't have those guys hanging around. And you've talked about Brad Underwood and his staff making more of an emphasis yet again, going back to recruiting more high school players. And we saw the kid coming in, Ethan Brown, committing earlier this week, the first commit out of the 2026 class.
Yeah, from Rolla, Missouri. He is he was kind of unknown heading into the summer, and he's kind of vaulted himself up. I think he's going to be in some top 150s now. And he's 6'4", he's 205. He's not what you'd call like a high flyer, but he's bouncy, he's quick off the floor, and he can shoot it, he can score it. But the best thing about this kid is this kid will compete. He is a competitor through and through. He does whatever he has to do. He's played some combo guard, he's played off the ball, he's played with the ball, he does a little bit of everything. But he's just a competitor, and this is what he's an everyday guy. He'll fit into the Brad Underwood culture without a doubt.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting with Illinois having pretty good eye for recruits. Will there be an Illinois effect, which is kind of be a new thing, where a guy goes up the rankings just because Illinois has evaluated him and given him a thumbs up? And I think they've kind of earned that, but we'll see if that is forthcoming as well.
Yeah, the Illinois basketball program kind of quiet all summer, but some media availability earlier this week. Sturdy was there talking to several players and coaches as well. Kylan Boswell, now fourth-year senior, the Champaign native, grew up in Champaign, went, of course, out prep school out west, played for Arizona 2 years, now his second year with Illinois. And Brad and the other reporters talking to Kylan about this group here coming in this summer, bringing everybody together. And now, really got to think about it. He's kind of the unquestioned leader of this group. Here's what Kylan had to say earlier this week at Ubben.
Yeah, Kylan he's the leader. And he told us this at the end of last year. He said, he basically said, I'm going to be the leader, and this stuff that went this year isn't going to fly next year. And so I think he just took hold of this team. He's taken hold. He and Tomislav and Ben Humrickhouse have been the guys who led these things, but it's Kylan Boswell. He's got the ball in his hands. He's the point guard. He's the defensive presence. He does a little bit of everything. And I think that's where Illinois needs that. They need that leadership. I think there was a void last year. I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way towards any of the players. They had a lot of individual talent, but maybe they weren't as cohesive as they needed to be. And I think this year you're going to be more cohesive. And
they need that leadership on the court. It can't come from the sideline. You need those moments where a player is able to turn, as the other team's coming inbounding the ball, and they've got to be able to say to their teammates, we have to get a stop now. You can't wait for Brad Underwood to get up and yell about it. And I think with Boswell taking that role and being more proactive, that should be an X factor, a soft thing, but it's important out there on the court.
I totally agree. I said that so many times last year, even going in. My biggest concern was who's the alpha on this team, and we never saw that develop until the Duke game. And Brad, to your point, that's when Boswell said, hey, enough of this. Came back, and that was his first comment. It looked like a totally different team 72 hours later when they just completely waxed Iowa, right, at State Farm Center. And I think it's carried over now. I mean, clearly you could just see the way he's carried himself. He understands he's got to be the one. And it sounds like that, just like we had 2 years ago where, Terrence Shannon was a very quiet alpha, but an alpha nonetheless. Coleman Hawkins was there as well. Marcus Damask was there as well. You had a lot of veteran leadership. Well, now to your point, you've got Kylan, you got Ivisic, you've got some players there now that are coming back from last year, Rickhouse as well. That'll be the voices there in the locker room.
Yeah, and even you bring in a Stojakovic who's a veteran, who's older, and then you have Ty Rodgers, who's, although he's not on the floor right now because of the knee injury, which looks like it could sideline him for quite a while, He's a leader. He's a leader among the players. He can help them do things the right way. He knows what the coaches want, and he can help them through things, especially the young guys the players all raved about Brandon Lee and Keaton Wagler and how good they're going to be. So, yeah, it's definitely a lot of hype about this group. Even Big Z, Zvonimir Ivasic, who's Tomislav's twin brother, he is also old in the sense that he's played, 2 years of college basketball. So you got experience now, which you lacked last year. Let's be honest. I mean, you're relying on the young guys.
Yeah, and I think it's also exciting. You see a new assistant coach, Cam Crocker, and what he brings to the table defensively. I think they need a new voice at that end of the court. And so I think his contributions may not be as subtle as what people think if the team maybe takes a little bit more pride in that than they did at times last year.
Yeah, got a break coming here in about 30 seconds. Sturdy, want to get your thoughts. You mentioned Andrei Stojakovic, the former McDonald's All-American, coming over 1 year at Stanford, 1 year at Cal. Now he's at Illinois. What are the returns on him so far here this summer?
Kylan Boswell said he's nasty. And so that's a good thing for those wondering who are old like us. No, he can score. He's so skilled. He's got more bounce than people think. And he's just a guy who is crafty enough to find a way to put the ball in the basket. And with the spacing around him, with all the other guys who can play and shoot, he won't be the focal. He's going to be top of the defensive, scouting report, but they can't just focus on shutting him down like they could maybe at the weaker teams he had at Cal and Stanford. So he's going to have a lot of openings to score.
We like Nasty. Nasty's okay.
He's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike's kind of nasty. So
we put up with him.
Mike's a different kind of nasty.
Yeah.
I think there's a different way to look at that.
Yep. I'm ultimate nasty.
We still like him, though. Okay. She's not nasty. She's Ciara, the Illini gal, is joining us next, the Illini forward on Shauna Green's team. Going to tell us about her experiences overseas as part of Team Canada as we're just getting started here on the Sports Spectacular, powered by IlliniGuys.com.